Hello friends, welcome to this channel once again. Today we are going to discuss the very important part of the chapter breathing and exchange of gases, that is the respiration, and this is the human respiratory system, and it is found in the same way in most of the mammals, so we can also call it the mammalian respiratory system. So let's start the human respiratory system. The human respiratory system. In the human respiratory system, this diagram shows most of the parts of our respiratory system, starting from the windpipe, that is the trachea, which divides into two bronchi, and the bronchials enter to the right lung and the left lung respectively. The division of the trachea is known as the bronchus, and they enter into both the lungs, and there they divide and redivide, and finally they open to the air sacs, which we call as the alveoli or the air sac, in which the exchange of gases takes place. So this is a basic idea about the structure of human lung. The right lung, we can see here, is divided into three lobes: the superior lobe, middle lobe, and inferior lobe. Likewise, the left lung is divided into two lobes, the superior and inferior only. Here the left one is divided into two lobes, whereas the right lung is divided into three different lobes. So it is, remember, the respiratory system is derived from the endoderm. So it is derived from endodermic layer of embryo or the endoderm. Okay, so it consists of, it starts from the nostrils, the first part, that is the external nose. It is the only part of respiratory system which is seen. So nostrils are the opening of the nose, and after nostril it is the nasal cavity, then the pharynx, and after pharynx it will go to the larynx. In pharynx it is particularly the nasopharynx, we can also say. Then to the larynx, or the first part of the trachea, then the trachea or windpipe as it is seen in the figure or diagram. Then after trachea, what is there? It is the bronchi. So two bronchi are there. It is the bronchi, and it is again divided into different parts, like the primary bronchi, then secondary bronchi, then tertiary bronchi, and finally bronchioles. The fine branches of bronchi are known as bronchioles, and these bronchioles now again divided into various types, like the primary bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, etc., and then the bronchioles open into the last part of the system, that are the air sacs or the alveoli, where the exchange of gases between the blood and the atmospheric air takes place. So it finally reaches the alveoli. Okay, along with these, the other structures, these are the bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. These are present inside the lungs. So lungs is the part, most important part of our respiratory system. Likewise, we have different muscles also involved in this process, like the diaphragm. Diaphragm plays a very important role in the process of breathing. So it helps in the process of respiration. So this is the basic idea what are the different parts of the human respiratory system, starting from the nostril, external opening of the nasal chamber, up to the alveoli, the innermost part of the lungs, which is present at the last part of the lungs, and air travels through this way from nostril, through nasal cavity, pharynx, then larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and finally reaches alveoli. Clear? So this is the way through which the atmospheric air travels in order to reach alveoli. So let's talk in detail what is the nostril, nasal cavity and nasopharynx. It is endodermal in origin, remember. So the nose, nasal cavity and nasopharynx. Nose, then nasal cavity, and after nasal cavity the nasopharynx. These are involved in the first step. So nose is the first part, it is the first part. Then the nasal cavity, it is divided by septum, divided into two by septum. So a septum is present in between, so that it divides the nasal cavity into two separate chambers, as the two nostrils are there which opens outside. Okay, so it is divided by two septums. The nasopharynx is present behind the nasal cavity. It is present behind the nasal cavity above the level of the uvula, So the region present above uvula are the nasopharynx, above the uvula, or we can also say above soft palate. The region which is present is the nasopharynx. So the nose or the external nostrils receives, it is the first part, it receives the atmospheric air. Then the air travels to the nasal cavity, which is divided into two separate chambers by the septum present in between, and finally it reaches the nasopharynx, which is present behind the nasal cavity above the soft palate. So again, two terms we need to know. What are the two terms? We have already discussed in the chapter digestion and absorption. So here we will also discuss them again. Glottis. What is glottis? It is the opening of the trachea or the windpipe to the pharynx. It is the opening of pharynx, the nasopharynx or the pharynx opens to the larynx. Next part is the larynx. So pharynx is a common part of digestive and respiratory system, and larynx is the first independent part of the respiratory system. So pharynx open to larynx through a small pore which is known as glottis. It is present in between the pharynx and larynx, and this glottis is guided by a valve. A minute valve is present which guides glottis, which is known as the epiglottis. It closes the glottis. It closes the glottis during swallowing of food. So when we swallow food, in order to stop the food to enter into our larynx or to the trachea, to the respiratory system, the glottis is closed during swallowing of food by a valve which is known as the epiglottis. Okay, so it closes the glottis during swallowing of food. Now let's move to the next part, that is the larynx. So after the pharynx, the air enters through the glottis into the larynx. So larynx, we know it is known as, also called as the voice box. It is known as the voice box. It is the first part of trachea. So trachea starts after these larynx that produces sound. It is the larynx. Okay, so larynx is the first part of the trachea. It is the first part of trachea. Keep watching the video. At the end, I will provide you notes also. The handwritten notes I will give you. Okay, so it is the larynx is the first part of the trachea or the O5, and it is present in the neck. Wall of the larynx is made up of 9 pieces. 9 pieces of cartilage. 9 pieces of cartilages are there, which makes the wall of larynx or the voice box. So what are the 9 pieces of cartilages? So out of the 9 pieces, 3 are in pairs and 3 in single. So 3 are in pairs, means they make 6 number of cartilages, and 3 in single. So 6 plus 3, that is a total of 9 number of cartilages are there. So what are the different cartilages that makes the larynx? So the first 3 which occur singly, present in single, the first 3 which present in single are the thyroid cartilage, the epiglottis, as we talk about this in detail, the epiglottis and the cricoid cartilage. So these are the 3 single cartilages which are present in the larynx, and the pairs are the number 1 arytenoid. The arytenoid cartilage is in pair, it is present in pair. Cuneiform, the cuneiform cartilage is also present in pair. Then the corniculate, third one is the corniculate cartilage. So these 3, the arytenoid, cuneiform and corniculate, these 3 are present in pairs. So they are present in pairs. So 2 arytenoid cartilage, 2 cuneiform cartilage and 2 corniculate cartilages are there, and these 3 cartilages are present in single. So total 9 number of cartilages are there in the wall, which makes the wall of the larynx. The larynx is made up of cartilage because it helps in the production of sound. It is known as the voice box. So the mid-ventral portion of this larynx, the mid-ventral. So this is all about the different cartilages. Then we will talk about the mid-ventral region, which is the laryngeal prominence. Mid-ventral region is known as the laryngeal prominent or prominence. This laryngeal prominence is known as Adam's apple popularly. Adam's apple and it has very important role in the production of voice, in the making of sound. Infection or inflammation in larynx is called laryngitis. Laryngitis is any infection or inflammation in the region of larynx. Okay, so remember this laryngitis. Larynx contains vocal cords. The sound producing elastic fibers are called as vocal cords, which are present in the larynx. It produces sound. So these are the sound producing elastic fibers. Sound producing elastic fibers are the vocal cords. They help in the production of sound. Sound production is called phonation and clear speech is called articulation. Phonation and articulation. So production of sound is called as phonation. Any type of sound, if produced, it is called phonation. But when it is called speech, when the sound becomes specific, it is called speech and it is called articulation. Articulation. So there is a difference between the phonation and articulation. Phonation is any sound that is produced and articulation is the clear speech. Okay, so next in women and children the pitch is very low. Why? Because the vocal cords are usually short. Vocal cords short in women and children. That is why in women and children the voice is of high pitched. So the voice is high pitched. But in case of the man, the vocal cords are larger in size. The vocal cords are larger so that they produce the voice produced is of low pitch in case of the male. So low pitched due to the vocal cords are very large and longer and thicker, so that the vocal cords produced low pitched sound in case of man. In case of man, the voice is low pitched and high pitched in case of women and children due to the type of vocal cords. So next, this is all about the trachea, vocal cords, voice box, what are the different cartilages and how the phonation and articulation are different from one another. Next we will move to the part which is very important, the trachea or the windpipe. So trachea, it is also called the windpipe. It is the continuation of larynx. Larynx continues downward as trachea. Okay, so it is the continuation of larynx. It is 10 centimeter long. It is 10 centimeter long. It is 2.5 centimeter in diameter. In diameter, it is 2.5 centimeter, 10 centimeter in long. It lies mainly in the median plane anterior to the esophagus. As I have told while teaching the digestive system, the esophagus is present behind the trachea. The trachea or the windpipe is anterior most in the neck, then the esophagus, and then the vertebral column. So the trachea lies in the median plane, and it runs through the neck anterior, and it is present anterior to esophagus, present anterior to the esophagus or the food pipe. Okay, so this is supported by incomplete C-shaped C-shaped hyaline cartilage. So hyaline cartilage support the structure of trachea, and the hyaline cartilage are incomplete C-shaped structure. So you can see here these lines denote the hyaline cartilage. You can touch the trachea, you can touch it and drag your hand against the neck, so that you can also feel how the hyaline cartilage are present. These are C-shaped and incomplete because they are only present anteriorly. In the posterior side there is esophagus and there is no any support to the trachea, so there is no hyaline cartilage. That is why these are C-shaped. Starts from here, ends here. So these are C-shaped hyaline cartilage present in the trachea, which we can see by touching our neck, and these are incomplete C-shaped. We call them hyaline cartilage, and they support the structure. These cartilages are incomplete posteriorly. These are incomplete posteriorly. Anteriorly we can feel it anteriorly, and posteriorly they are not there. So these are C-shaped, and posterior part is not with any support of hyaline cartilage. Mucosa of trachea is lined with ciliated pseudostratified epithelium. The mucosa is lined with ciliated pseudostratified epithelium containing mucus secreting goblet cells. So goblet cells are there that secretes mucus. Mucus secreting goblet cells are there, and which are lined by the ciliated pseudostratified epithelium. Lined by ciliated pseudostratified epithelium. Okay, so this is all about the trachea or the point pipe. It runs forward from the larynx till its division into two branches, two different bronchi. So let's discuss about the bronchi, which are two in number and which are formed by the division of the windpipe or the trachea. So now let's discuss about the two branches of the trachea, one to the left lung, another to the right lung, how it divided into two and enters into the lung and redivides inside. So let's move on to the structure of the bronchi or the bronchus in singular. So there are two bronchus. Trachea divided into two main bronchi. So the trachea divided into two main bronchi. These are called main bronchi or the primary bronchi. That is the right bronchus. One is the right bronchus that comes to the right lung, and the left bronchus. So the right bronchus. What is right bronchus? What is its structure? Let's discuss first. It is wider, shorter and more vertical. Right bronchus is wider, shorter, vertical as compared to the left one. So you can see the right one is shorter. This one is shorter than the left bronchi. It is also wider than the left one and vertical. It comes suddenly downward. Suddenly downward means it runs suddenly downward. That is why it is called vertical also. Okay, so the right bronchus is wider, shorter and more vertical. Then we will move for the left one. So the left bronchus. So the left bronchus will obviously be what? It will be uh, narrower, obviously narrower, not shorter but longer and little less vertical, less vertical. So the right bronchus is shorter and its length is only 2.5 centimeter, whereas the longer left bronchus is about 5 centimeter. Clear? Okay. So as the right bronchus is wider, shorter and vertical, when we inhale air from the atmosphere, with the air many different pathogens and bacteria that causes harm to our body also enters to our respiratory system. So the pathogens have more chance to enter the right lung because the right bronchus is wider, so it is easier for them to reach right lung, and shorter and vertical so that they can easily come to the right lung. So the infection in right lung is much more as compared to that of the left lung. So infection occurs in right lung very easily. It is infected most of the time. Infected most of time. Okay, so chance of infection for right lung is more. On entering the right lung at hilum, it divides into two. In case of right lung, it is divided into three parts. So here on entering into the right lung, it will divide into three parts. Okay, so it divides into how many parts? Three parts. Why? Because the right lung is divided into three lobes, as I have told you, the superior, middle and inferior. As there are three lobes in the right lung, the bronchi divides into three branches on entering into the lungs through the hilum. Hilum is the place through which, at which point, the point at which the two bronchi enters the lungs are known as the hilum. So after entering at the hilum, the bronchi divides into three parts. The right bronchi divides into three parts because the right lung has three different lobes. Okay, likewise here you can see easily, as I have drawn already here, the bronchi is divided into two branches because in the left lung there are only two lobes, the superior and the inferior. So the bronchi are lined with ciliated columnar epithelium. These are lined with ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, ciliated columnar epithelium. And the soft divisions after the formation of bronchi from the trachea, bronchi again divides and redivides. So what are the soft divisions of bronchi? Let's discuss. So this is all about the left and right bronchi. You have to remember that the right bronchi is what? The right bronchi is wider, shorter and more vertical than the left one, so that the chance of infection of right lung is more as compared to that of the left lung. So students, what are the divisions? As the trachea is divided into bronchi, the bronchi now divides, and after division of bronchi, the bronchioles are formed. What are formed? The bronchioles. And these bronchioles again repeatedly divide to form terminal bronchioles. It forms the terminal bronchioles. Then the respiratory bronchioles. Okay, then the respiratory bronchioles again divides to form the alveolar duct, duct which gives rise, which is the connection to the air sacs or the alveoli. Okay, so this is the way through which the air travels from bronchi. Again, remember the bronchi is divided into branches also. We can say them as this is the primary bronchi, then the secondary bronchi, then the tertiary bronchi. This tertiary bronchi, if divided, and that will form bronchioles, then terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles likewise, and finally the duct to which the alveoli is attached, the spherical alveoli is attached, we call that the alveolar duct. This is the alveolar duct and this will be the alveoli. These are the structures of alveoli. Okay, the spherical structures in which the air remains and exchange of gases takes place. Okay, so this is the structure of the bronchi, and different parts are the bronchioles, terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, alveolar duct, and finally the air from atmosphere reaches alveoli. So let us discuss the structure of alveoli now. How the exchange of air, what is the structure so that the air can diffuse to the blood from the alveolar wall. So how it diffuses? It must be very thin and permeable to oxygen and carbon dioxide. That is why the air or the oxygen diffuses from the alveoli to the blood and carbon dioxide from blood to the alveoli. So let's discuss the structure of the air sacs, which are known as the alveoli. Okay, so the alveoli represents ultimate structural and physiological unit of lungs. These are the structural and physiological units, structural and physiological units of what? Of the lungs, because the alveoli has a very important role in the exchange of gases. Without these structures, all the other structures are non-functional. They have no function. It only gets the fresh air to alveoli, and all the exchange of gases process of exchange occurs in the alveoli. That is why it is known as the structural and physiological unit of the lungs. Alveoli provide great surface area for gaseous exchange. It provides great surface area for gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange means here gases means the oxygen and carbon dioxide in particular. So it will provide greater surface, as it is spherical structure. It will provide surface area, larger surface area for the exchange of gases inside the lungs. As we know that inside the intestine, there are villi which increases the surface for absorption. It increases the surface for absorption. For absorption of what? It will increase the surface for absorption of food. So food absorption can easily occur. The surface of the inner wall or internal wall of the intestine is increased by the presence of villi on the inner surface of the intestine. Likewise here the greater surface area is provided by the spherical air sacs or the alveoli that are present inside the lungs. Okay, so they have important function like this, and approximately 3 million alveoli in human are there. How many? 300 million alveoli are there in human lungs, 300 million, and they exposed to a surface area of nearly 70 meter square. So 70 meter square area is provided by the surface of the alveoli for exchange of gases. Okay, so the skin, if we will compare with the skin surface is only 1.6 meter square, and the surface provided by alveoli is much more than that, around 40 times more, 40 times more than the skin surface. Okay, clear. Exchange of gases occurs across the respiratory membrane of alveoli. So the respiratory membrane of alveoli, the structure of alveoli, if we will draw like this, this is the structure of alveoli and this is the wall. I am drawing it circular here, but actually it is spherical in structure with a pipe. The pipe is the alveolar duct and the balloon shaped larger alveoli are there. Actually they are very minute, but I am telling you like this because you can easily understand. The air through the alveolar duct enter to the alveoli and the alveoli becomes turgid, and now exchange of gases takes place through this wall, and then the blood capillaries are also present surrounding the alveoli. These are the blood capillaries. Okay, this surrounds the alveoli and then reunite. So this is the blood capillary, then the blood vessel then capillarize and again recollects. So here it makes a capillary network of capillaries. So you can understand it better. If this is the alveolar duct, my wrist is the alveolar duct, and this is the alveoli, the blood vessels comes and they form capillary and capture it throughout its surface area, so that it captures in such a way so tightly that the air can easily diffuse from the alveoli through the alveolar wall to the wall of the blood capillary into the blood. Okay, so this type of condition is there in the alveoli of lungs. Clear? So this is how the importance of the alveoli can be explained. So the exchange of gases takes place inside this alveoli. So how the alveoli, what is the structure of the alveolar wall, what is the structure of the wall of the blood capillary, so that it will permit it to enter into the blood. We will discuss all these in detail in my next video tutorial. So please keep watching. Please hit the like button and comment below. Thank you very much.